name's Aaron. Forgot what I was about to talk about. Oh, I remember. So I wanted to make a video just talking about my last project, Winter Storms. It's like an EP. I don't really like the word EP. I'd rather just call it an album, but there's only 6 songs, so it's an EP, I guess. This isn't gonna be like me explaining like what the lyrics mean. I feel like most of them are kind of self-explanatory. I don't know. It's like metaphors, but they're like basic metaphors, you know. But I just kind of wanted to talk about like the process of creating it, you know. And after I finished it's my first album that's like still out. It's called Nora Vampira. And I want to make a video talking about that one too, but I'm doing this one first. And so anyways, I started just coming up with some instrument parts. And the first one that I came up with was Harakiri. The guitar goes like... that one, if you listen to my songs. And I came up with just like pretty much just that one part, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, I like it. But I had no idea any lyrics or anything at all. But there was one song, Winter Storms. There was like a super stormy night in December or something, and I wrote this song, Winter Storms, just like super fast. Like I pretty much already knew in my head when I wanted the words to be. That's how a lot of my songs are. The words just kind of come naturally to my brain, and I don't really change them too much from what just I naturally think. But the way that I recorded the instruments for this one was I just hit record and I started just playing, you know, with a super weird guitar tone. It was like pitch shifted an octave up, like, and an octave down, because I was trying to make a guitar sound that actually this one's like that too, but it's blended better so you can't really hear the higher and lower octaves. But wild tone with a bunch of reverb and delay and stuff, like kind of sounded really like staticky, you know. And I record the whole song, like the main guitar for the whole song, in like one take. So there's 2 choruses, and each chorus is played a little different because I just played it different both times. It was like just the first take that I did. I had an idea of what I wanted to play, but I didn't actually have it written down. That's how a lot of my songs go, but like this one specifically, I came up with that rhythm part, and I was like, this sounds super cool. I'll probably re-record it later and actually play it everything on time and in tune and with a tone that doesn't sound crazy. Cause like if you've listened to that song, like the tone is wild. But so I did that, and then I'm like, while I'm at it, let's just improvise like a lead part. And so I do that. It was fire. With another kind of the same tone, but tweaked a little bit. And then I record the bass on this acoustic bass here. It's pretty cool. A 5-string acoustic bass. You don't see a lot of those. That's the bass on the whole album, is with that thing. And this is the guitar. It's just this guitar, that bass, and my like Frankenstein drum kit that I don't have it here. It's at my parents' house. But just a bunch of drums from different kits put together, you know. I had like 10 cymbals. It was pretty sweet. But I'm not getting there yet. But I basically improvised like in 1 hour like every instrument to that song, and I told myself that I would go in and re-record them later, but I didn't yet. And I actually played this song. My family did like a little Christmas party, and one of my friends sang like her new song. Well, not one of my friends, my wife, but before she was my wife. she sang one of her songs, and I sang this song, Winter Storms. But the thing is, like, no shot anybody could understand the words, because I was like, shoegaze style vocals, whatever. I don't think anybody freaked with it, but I wanted to play it for them anyway. Like, a bunch of old people, like, from our church, you know, and maybe, like, a couple young people who maybe thought it was cool. Not important. But anyways, after that, I didn't really think about the song too much. I didn't know if I really wanted to do anything with it, but I liked it, you know, I thought it was a really cool song. Oh, and so that's another thing, is I've had all those lyrics written before I had started anything on the rest of the album. And I was just working on instruments, pretty much, like, for the next 2.5 months. And I had, hang on, let me get a sip of tea to recollect my thoughts. Man, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, okay, so I started working on the instruments, and while I'm working on the instruments, I took acid, and I'd taken acid before, like, one time where it worked, like, perfect trip, it was fire. I watched a show about vampires, and that kind of inspired my vampire album. I got a new plug, you know, and I tried one, like, a gel tab from him, and it didn't really do anything. Like, it didn't really do anything. And so I buy from him again, but I'm like, can I get paper tabs this time? Again, hey, sorry my mom or parents if you're watching this, but and he says, like, yeah, I can get you a paper tab, or 2. I asked for 2, and I took them both at the same time. It was pretty late, it was like 9 or something, 9 or 10. And I wanted to just work on music while tripping. And during this time, I was tripping on shrooms a bit too, like a good couple times. But this one acid trip, it was crazy. I was watching a podcast, the Craig Reynolds podcast, if you know that one, the Downbeat, with and it was the episode with Chris Turner, the drummer from Ocean's 8 Alaska, and they were talking like some kind of wild, that is, even if you aren't a drummer, like, maybe you should check that out, because it's really good. But I was watching that as it started kicking in, and the 2 dudes were kind of like yelling at each other. They're like both British or something, so they're like talking that like angry British, like, oi bruv. But anyways, and I start to feel it, and I'm like, these dudes are looking crazy talking with it, and then I realized I'm just tripping balls, and I had to lay down, and I called my wife when she was just like my girlfriend, and I called her, and I was like, I took a lot of acid, can you like help? And so she's like, yeah, just don't go anywhere. And I'm like, okay. And so I don't know how long it was. It didn't feel like very long, or maybe it did. I don't remember this part super well. But she comes over to my house, and then I'm in the shed, because that's where my studio was at my parents' house. And she takes me into the living room. I'm sorry if that's annoying y'all, but I think it's cool. But anyways, I'm tripping balls off this acid, and she takes me inside, and my family is still home, but they're all like upstairs, you know, so I was worried, we were both worried that they were gonna like come in, and I would not be able to act sober, because I was tripping so hard. And there's a couple wild things that happened during this trip that, like, excuse me, that have kind of like changed my perspective on life a little bit. And but one of the first thing that happened is I couldn't like see what I was looking at anymore. Like I was looking straight at Briley, my wife, girlfriend at the time, but I'm just gonna say Briley from now. I'm looking straight at Briley, and I'm like, what am I looking at right now? Am I looking at you? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I can't even like see. I was just seeing like eyes and patterns and shapes and things, like weird movement that I knew was like a person, but I couldn't actually like see the figure or like make out what it was or understand at all. I had no idea. And it was super crazy. Just looking around and not being able to see, and like I was hearing things that weren't there. Like I was hearing words and I was like talking to myself in my head, and then I would say to her like, am I talking right now? And she would say yes sometimes, but then sometimes I would be like, am I talking right now? And she didn't respond. So I'm like, I must just be talking in my head. And then I would not be able to talk out of my head, you know, like I couldn't figure out what was in here and what was out here at all. It had all like blended into one thing. And it was just crazy, like super crazy. And she was watching Arrested Development on the TV, and I wasn't paying attention, but I started for a second, like the trip had kind of like cooled off, and I was like actually able to like look at the TV. And the dude, what's the dude, Job? He was freaking out. No, it wasn't Job, it was the other guy. I don't remember his name, with the glasses and the little booty shorts. And he was freaking out, like screaming, having an existential crisis, as I'm over here tripping balls, like low-key freaking out, you know, because I have no idea what is going on. And I'm like, can you watch something else? She's like, no. I'm like, let me get the train of thought back. Oh yeah, another wild thing that happened. This happened a couple times too. Is I would, if I like closed my eyes, or maybe my eyes weren't even closed, I don't know. But anyways, it's like everything went black, and then it's like I like popped back into me when I was laying on the floor in the shed waiting for her to come. And I kept saying to her like, are you really here right now, or am I like in the shed? And she's like, no, you're really here. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe you. Because I didn't know if that was real or not, or if I was like still stuck in my head. But I was like, if you say I'm safe, I guess I'm safe, right? But in my head, I was like, maybe right now I'm being like loaded into an ambulance or something, and I just don't even know. And this is like completely a world that's been created in my brain to stop me from freaking out even more than I already am. And in my head, there was like screams happening, and I was like, I really hope I'm not like screaming so that nobody like hears me, in case like my parents heard or something. And I said to Briley, I'm like, what if I scream right now? And she's like, please don't. And I'm like, okay. And so I don't. And at some point, as the trip is kind of cooling off, you know, I've been talking about this acid trip for so long now, but I honestly, it's kind of crucial to understanding some of the stuff in the album. I forgot this was even about the album. But anyways, she starts playing some music, and I don't really remember most of the songs that played, but one of them was Creep by Radiohead, and like maybe like Black Hole Sun or something. But anyways, Creep, when it gets to the outro, just the very last little bit, I felt like I could hear like the room that he was recording in, like, or maybe I don't know if they recorded it like whole band together or something, but it's like I felt like I could hear the singer, I don't remember his name, but like that I could hear the singer like at the microphone and then like taking a step back or something as all the instruments are ringing out and things like that. And I'm like this song like captured a moment, you know. It's not just a song, it captured like the whole vibe of everything. Like, I don't know how to explain it other than just like that they really captured that moment. And when you, at least when I listen to a song that's has like 15 songwriters and like 10 different producers, and it was recorded in like separate studios and all that kind of stuff, like every single take is recorded separately, and you know, each section and stuff, like it sounds like that, you know. Sounds like they tried really hard to make it sound a certain way, but with Creep, as I'm listening to it, it kind of sounds like the song just sounded like that. Like if you were there while they were recording it, would have sounded exactly the same as it does like on the album or whatever. And so I was really trying to like capture that vibe on this album. And because of that, almost all of the instruments, like almost all the guitars are recorded in one take, or as few takes as I can do. There's some parts like the guitar tone is different, so I have to record it in a new take because I don't actually have pedals or anything like that, you know. But like a whole chorus or something, or like a chorus into bridge into breakdown, all that, I would try and record like straight through until there was a part where I have to start recording a new take. And I did that for pretty much everything, the bass too, and there's no like time aligning on any of the instruments because I wanted it like raw, I wanted it real, you know. There's parts where you can hear that things are not really right, but I like it. I like that vibe. And so then all of the guitars are done. And the drums I was saving for last because I figured if I try and record the drums first, I kind of need them to be perfect, you know? And wasn't gonna work because for two reasons. One, I'm not that good at drumming. Two, like the situation I'm recording in was that first of all, I wanted to do everything in as few takes as possible. Like there's one of them, most of them are recorded like two different takes because I couldn't really get it all the way through in one. But Winter Storms, not just one take, but the very first take. I told myself before recording, I'm like, all the guitars and bass were recorded the very first take, like improvised. So I did the same thing with singing. I just hit record and I sang, and I was like, even if I screw up, this is still the take that I'm using. And like, you could probably tell, honestly, like, if you go and listen to it now, knowing that, like, parts, it's like, I would have redone if I wanted to redo things, but I didn't. Oh, but anyways, the drumming on all of the song Winter Storms, first take, one take. And, what's the other one? Eclipse. Like, the kind of black, bro, that riff, bro, that... It's hard to play without distortion, especially the pinch harmonics. Where was I? Oh, but I recorded that whole one in one take. And as I'm recording it, the floor tom, the leg just like falls and it just like hits you can hear it too. I don't remember where, I'll try and find it or something. But you can hear the floor tom like hit the ground but I just had to keep hitting it. It's like at a breakdown part where I'm going like hitting them toms real hard, and I'm like, I can't stop recording. I'm like 5 minutes in and this is the best take so far, so I just kept going. And then I finished and I get to like the last like blast beat section. I'm like, okay, I got it. Let's freaking go. That was sick. One take. Or yeah. And after I record it, you can hear at the end of that song, like after the instruments fade out, me like throwing my drumsticks down, and I get up out of the seat and I walk across the studio to stop recording, because you know my computer was over here and the drums were over there. You know, you can hear me walking up and I press pause, stop record or whatever. And that's kind of the vibe that like the whole album was done with drums, like as few takes as possible and just accepting the mistakes because they're cool, you know. And so I had finished all of the instruments at this point, and I was still kind of working on mixing them. That was so hard to mix. And I mean, it still sounds like garagey, you know, but in like a way that I like. This is a long video. If you're watching this though, like, thank you. I love you. Man, what was oh, all instruments done. But I still don't really know what I want the lyrics to be. At first I thought I wanted the lyrics to be like a continuation of my Vampire album, but I was like, that's not really what I'm feeling here. And then me and Briley broke up, like, we thought that there was like a problem with our relationship that we wouldn't be able to work through. And we didn't want to break up, like we loved each other a ton, but we were like, well, if we don't break up now, we'll break up eventually, so we might as well I said that. So we broke up, and I, like, 2 days later was going on a trip back to California just to hang out with my friends who I hadn't seen in like a year. And so we break up. Actually, I forgot something, is that we broke up and then I finished recording the drums. I was done with some of them, but like Eclipse, Harakiri, and Winter Storms, I don't think I had done the drumming on those until after we broke up. But then after I finished those, I go on the trip to California, and I'm like, I'm just gonna use all this time to write lyrics. And naturally, all of the lyrics were about our relationship and breaking up and how it just kind of felt like if things were different, like, everything would be better. And that's kind of the lyrics of the album. And I'm showing the instrumentals to my friends and stuff, and they're like, this stuff is really cool. I've never really heard stuff like this. And I'm like, that's what I like. Yeah, I don't want to make something that sounds like something people already do, you know. That's kind of always been like my thing with making music. I want to make something unique. What was I saying? I need some tea. Oh, and so I finish writing all these lyrics while I'm on the trip, and I get back, and almost immediately, Riley and I get back together. Like, right? No, wait. Do I have it backwards? I don't remember if we got back together and then I recorded the lyrics. Oh. While we were broken up, I recorded just a ton of screaming because I was super sad, you know, and I was like, I gotta get my anger out, so I'm just gonna scream a bunch. So I just set up a microphone like facing the ceiling in the stew while nobody was home, nobody was around. And so I just start screaming crazy, like, visceral screams. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm like, I'll just like put these in places on the album so that there's like crazy, dark, sad screams, like, 'cause that's the vibe, that's how I was feeling inside, you know? And I'm pretty sure I record all the vocals, and then like 2 days later or something, we got back together. But I recorded all of the vocals except for those like screams that I recorded before, but all the actual singing and like the screamed words that aren't just like all of it in one day when I knew nobody was gonna be home until like 10 or something. So I had all this time, and so I like kind of warmed up in the morning and I was drinking tea and stuff like that. And the thing about that album is the first song is pretty easy to sing. There's not really any like super high parts. The second song is like kind of the same, but there's a high part. But it doesn't really matter if I sound good singing it just because of the vibe. Oh, I keep jumping back and forth, and I'm sorry about that. But another thing is Briley had recorded while we were still together, and I was just working on the instruments. She had recorded all the harmonies on the album that she sings. There's on every single song except Winter Storms, there's just a bunch of parts with her singing really, really cool, like, harmony parts, you know. And she would just come up with them. I would play her a part, and she would be like, let me think for a second. Okay, yeah, record it. And she would just improvise all these cool ones. My favorite one is the one she did for Harakiri. Sounds so sick, like the coolest I've ever heard. But anyways, she did that before I had any lyrics written, so all of her stuff is just like, no, that's not true. I don't remember. There were some lyrics written, maybe? No, there weren't lyrics written. I had her sing... Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This is all over the place. This video is almost as long as the album. It's probably going to be longer, but if you're watching it, you must like it. What was I saying? That sounds nice. I record all of the vocals in one day, and I do the screaming parts just like I did it just first song, second song, third song, fourth song, in order like that. And Harakiri is both the hardest song to sing, and it's the highest, and it has like the most gnarly screams in it too. And there's like that high scream singing that I don't know how to do like safely, so I just went for it at that part before the very last section. But man, I thought it sounded freaking sweet. But I just destroy my voice like on the first 5 songs. Like one of them that really got me too was Eclipse. The second verse of that, it's like it has that key change into the screaming breakdown. But I did like the whole second verse is one take. I think on that one I had to record the choruses separate because I couldn't get them all at once and have it like still have air for the chorus, you know? There weren't enough spots to breathe. But the whole second verse, like the singing and then the key change and then the screaming and the singing again and then just like the breakdown, which is just like just destroyed my voice. Gone. Like, and so when I finished recording Harakiri, I was like, okay, there's really like something going on here. Like, this is kind of something special to me anyways. Like, and I didn't know if anybody else would like them the way that this album sounded, but I knew that I would as I'm recording it. I'm like, it's all coming together. This is the most like tortured music I could possibly make at the time. I can make even more messed up stuff now, but I really wanted to finish the album by the eclipse, like the total eclipse in April, and I did. The album released like on the eclipse at the time of the eclipse. The first version of it anyway. I remastered it and re-released it on the summer solstice. Just stuff to like make the guitars more atmospheric and the harmonies more present and things like that. And just kind of make the whole thing more like smashed and saturated and like whoosh, sound like that type stuff. What was I saying? Oh, so I took a walk around like our back. We kind of have like a forest in our backyard at my parents' house. Real peaceful stuff, you know. I go on a walk back there and there's still nobody home. I'm just listening to the birds singing and things like that, trying to cool down, because like the lyrics of this were so emotional to me, and just like the delivery that I gave on them and stuff took a lot out of me, like physically and emotionally. And so I take a walk around and I'm like, I know that I want to record Winter Storms, the very last one. That's the only one I had left. I knew I wanted to do it in the very first take, like hit record and just like do it. Even if I screw up, like doesn't matter. That's what I have to use. And so I practiced singing it like 2 or 3 times, but I still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for the melody. Like, I knew all the words. I knew when the words were supposed to be, but I just kind of was like, I guess my brain will just come up with a melody that'll work, right? And I do that sufficiently, like, cool off, I feel like. It had maybe been like 30 minutes since I recorded Harakiri. And I get in there, and I, like, brace myself, you know? And I hit record, and I sing it, and like it was a very emotional performance to do a song like that in one take, after recording all these other songs about, you know, like pain and not knowing what's real and being alone and like wanting to kill myself and those kind of things. And I get to Winter Storms, which, like, lyrically it's not as dark, I don't think, but like the meaning behind the lyrics, to me, like the person who wrote them, like I know what was really going on there, and it was hard. And so there's parts where it almost sounds like I'm laughing in the recording when I listen back to it now, but it's more just that like I'm like choked up and kind of crying a little bit as I record it. And I finish recording it and I just listen to the guitar fade out, and I'm like, okay, that was like perfect. Not perfect, like lots of flaws, but like I captured the moment, and that's what I like set out to do with the whole thing. This is such a long video. I'm capturing this moment too. I've been capturing it for 33 minutes. But anyways, I felt like I had really captured that. I guess it wasn't like a moment so much as like a collection of moments, like tripping on acid, going crazy, my girl breaking up with me, feeling alone. I also had a weird like spiritual awakening during this. I'll make another video about that actually. But all of these different crazy emotions that I had felt in the span of from the winter solstice last year to the eclipse this year, which is only about 3.5 months. But all these crazy emotions, like, it felt like I came out a completely different person, you know? But I was really happy with what I had done. And even now listening back to it, like, there's not a thing that I would want done different about that album. I think it's amazing. All the drums were recorded with one microphone, just put right up against the kick. You know, that kind, and like, I want to redo some of the songs maybe, but like completely different, like reimagined versions. I don't want to just like the same instruments but recorded better. That's lame. Where's that going with this? I don't know. Oh, I do actually. Let me just get a sip of and so I'm done with the album I finished mixing it about a week before the eclipse. And I just love those kind of like releasing music on like the winter solstice or like my birthday, or I released a song on my cousin's birthday, my cousin Caleb, a song like dedicated to him. Stuff like the release dates of my albums like mean something to me. It's like when it's not mine anymore and I'm kind of like putting it out into the world, you know? So like that's why I released it on the Eclipse, like a once in a lifetime kind of event. And that's like a once in a lifetime album for me. Like I could, or I won't make something that sounds like that again. I don't want to. And even if I did, I couldn't. Like I can't capture those emotions again, because I don't really feel them in the same way, you know? Like I released the emotions on that album, instead of just keeping them all up inside. And so then like watching the eclipse, like as the moon just covers the sun, and I literally set, like on DistroKid, you can set your albums to release like specific minute, you know? So I released it like right when the whole like eclipse totality or whatever. That's why this one of the songs is called Eclipse also, if you didn't put that together. But I knew that like right then this album was out and anybody who wanted to could listen to it. And that like I felt like this huge wave of relief. And cause me and my wife had like gotten back together, and I think we were engaged actually at this point. Pretty wild, we broke up and then got engaged like a month later. But anyways, we watched it together, and I felt so much peace, like right when everything went dark. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you haven't listened to that album, maybe listen to it, you might like it. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great day. I'll just maybe play some guitar or something for a little bit, because it's already a super long video.